Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. Well, I said it last week. Acolyte, you guys got my attention. Let's see what you did with it. And yeah, you guys succeeded. Episode was pretty good, pretty great actually, if I'm being honest. And probably some of the best choreography I think we've had in a very long time. So why don't we just open this can up? Hey, Chewy, do me a favor. Punch it. Let's get into it. Alrighty. Let's start this thing. So the episode opens with Osha coming to after getting thrown aside at the end of the last episode. She comes to, and the first thing that she sees, and that we see as an audience, is a body of a dead Jedi lying right next to her, and looked like Buddy didn't stay alive for too much longer. So then she sees we see from her perspective lightsabers in the distance. We can't really see what's going on as the camera pans into it, as we see the stranger, as he is dubbed, putting in work, putting in very light work. He's taking on, I want to say 4 or 5 Jedi at this point in time. He stabs one of them through the chest, kills one, headbutts one of their sabers, which when this episode started and I saw that, I freaked out because I didn't know what that was. It's Cortosis, which I'll get to in a second. And he headbutts one saber, uses a bracer on the other one to deactivate 2 sabers at once. And then stabs one Jedi, force pulls another one into the saber, skewering both of them at the same time. Sorry, I'm getting a little excited just because. Yeah, that was dope. That was that was pretty cool. As as he continues to fight and kill the Jedi, Osha attempts to stun him just to keep Yord safe. And well, doesn't work. In fact, it pisses him off a little bit as he then goes after Ocean. I'm getting like Michael Meyer, like Jason Voorhees vibes off of this. Like this dude is a deranged psychopath, just trying to kill people. As he throws his saber, cutting down trees around her. As Soul gets in the way, stops it, and orders Yord to get Oshi to the ship as they hightail it out of there. We then cut to May attempting to flee as Jackie does her best WWE impression and drop kicks her. We get a quick little fight scene. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed the fight choreography throughout this entire episode, from front to start. The choreography was pretty good. Uh, from beginning to end, and I really enjoyed uh, just how that worked. On top of that, we the next thing we see is we cut back to Soul and the stranger. Soul asks why the stranger's hiding hiding his face, and the stranger confronts him and says, "I don't know. You tell me why you're hiding yours." As he seems to know who Soul really is. And something else I didn't touch on, there's some history between these two, or at least it's hinted at because Soul senses something familiar between the two as they're about to begin fighting. We then um, cut to Yor telling Osha that this Sith gets inside people's heads and makes them second guess themselves. So not only are they fighting him on a physical front, but it's also a mental battle as well. As Osha says that her mother also had that same ability, which I found very interesting. Uh, then we get another scene with Jackie as she's about to arrest May as the stranger that attacks her, and we get a pretty good fight scene between them two. Jackie, even though she's a Padawan, she holds her own with the stranger throughout this entire fight, and she even uses Kilnaka's second saber to try and to try and fight her, to try to fight the stranger. And again, beautiful choreography. It was great. Um, I've got something to say about the stranger, which I'll get to in a minute. Um, May then hightails it out of there. She tries to get away as we then see an example of what York was saying, as it's intercut with the stranger basically telling May that you were going to betray me, you were going to kill me, uh, and that he's essentially going to get her next. As Soul jumps in with the fight with Jackie. Soul and Jackie begin to fight the stranger, much like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did versus Maul. The fight is very close quarters, very, I would say intimate. It's very just it's a very close quarters combat, which um I really enjoyed I really enjoyed seeing as Soul as the stranger again uses his helmet to deactivate Soul's saber. Jackie notices what's going on, and instead of trying to use her saber to take out the helmet, she starts elbowing it and takes it off the stranger. As she gets a brief glimpse of who it is behind the helmet, as she then charges the stranger in essentially a blind rage. She doesn't see the stranger pull out a second blade, kind of like cows um, from Fallen Order. As he stabs her 3 times, she drops. As the stranger is then revealed to be Khmer, which I I think I said previously I was expecting it to be Khmer. It seemed after watching the episode again, I can see why I can see where it was probably going to be him. Then Khmer taunts Soul, saying was that its name, to dehumanize Jackie after Soul said her name after seeing her die, and he tells Soul that he te- Soul says to Khmer that she was a child, and he just shrugged and said, "Well, you're the one who brought her here. You knew the risks, so this is kind of on you." As he disrobes, throws his robe at Soul, pulls May in with a force choke as he then essentially holds her at gunpoint with his lightsaber, and he goes on this little explainer saying that the Jedi would call him Sith, and that he has no name, and that all he wants is an acolyte. As we then see Yord come in from behind him, trying to attack him, Yord uses the helmet to deactivate Chimere's saber, and then Chimera uses the bracer to deactivate Yord's saber, and we get probably the most brutal kill that I've ever seen in Star Wars. Period. and Chimera snaps Yord's neck. That was absolutely freaking gnarly, and probably my favorite kill of the entire of this entire episode. We then get to see a little bit of Soul's dark side that he's been keeping under wraps. So what happens here is, I would say, he flies into a blind rage, fighting Chimera hand to hand, and gets a saber back and he's about to kill Chimera as May stops him. Or not May, Osha, sorry, stops him. And again, Chimera taunts Soul, says he's learned how to live with his darkness. What have you done with your soul? Essentially confirming that he knows what actually happened on Brindok. That whatever Soul does, it's not what he it's not what he truly is. Osha then attaches Pip to Chimera's back, and he gets carried away by the moths. And this is the part of the episode that kind of just falls to pieces a little bit. Um, it's all just Osha and May, and I will give um Amanda Stenberg credit. She's a really good actress. She she does a phenomenal job on this show with these two actors. But when it's just her playing essentially against herself in scenes, especially this one, it felt it felt a little flat in my opinion. It didn't really work like they were intending. So essentially, Ocean may reunite. Like I said, the scene's a little clunky. May knocks out Osha with the thread, the same move that the mother Anastasia uses in episode 3. As May then cuts her hair with Yord's saber to look exactly like Osha, leaving Osha unconscious as she takes her place with Soul. But Basil, our resident space beaver, is on to her. As we then see Chimera with the sun starting to come up. Chimera takes out the rest of the moths, and he's alive, and he drops down like right next to where Osha is, seemingly confirming that I think what's about to happen is that these two twins are essentially going to switch sides. Um, I think May's going to attempt to kill Soul or attempt to uh kill the rest of the Jedi, and that's not gonna work. And I think uh Osha, like I said, is now being picked up by Chimera as the episode ends. I personally think that we're about to get a double turn. Osha's gonna go bad, and May's actually gonna start going towards the light side. I could be wrong though. I could be completely wrong. So just take that with a giant mountain of salt. So now I want to talk about just what I thought about the episode in general without going into stuff bit by bit. So here's my thing. This is the best episode that they've had so far. Best choreography they've had so far. This is the episode. I mean, they said it. This episode is the one that everyone was going to be talking about, and they got it right. Everybody's talking about it for all the right reasons. Choreography was. I mean, I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put the whole fight scene from start to finish, essentially the whole episode, in S tier Star Wars. It was, in my opinion, one of the best Star Wars TV episodes we've gotten. And I want to shout out Manny Jacinto, uh, the guy that plays Chimera. he spent months and months getting ready for this role, getting ready for this fight specifically, and it shows. I haven't seen that level of dedication to saber choreography since probably Hayden in the prequels, and I don't, I, it was really good choreography, and I'm excited to see what else is going to happen. Now story wise, I like where we're going. I think next week we're going to get the. I think next week we're going to get the uh, the flashback episode, and we finally get to see what happened, and then for episode 7 and 8 we get we're gonna get the rest of the story. So I think next week we get the rest of the flashback, and then 7 and 8 we're gonna focus on the characters, and we're gonna resolve this. I do think we see either Tenebris or Plagueis sometime in this show, because I don't think Kamir is getting out of this alive. I don't see a way for him to get out of this, and I just don't think the Sith, if they're in the Bane line, would allow a loose thread like that to just be walking around. So I think Chimera, once the his master figures out what he's doing, Mans is cooked. Because if he's did that to the Jedi, I can't wait to see what his master's going to do to him when he figures out what he's trying to do. So overall, great episode, really good episode. Um, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen next week on the flashback. So until next time, guys, the force be with you.